Disclaimer, hate to use the word picking up women with all its negative associations. Women are living, breathing human beings, not targets/objects to be manipulated. End of the day, every man came from a woman. Men are connecting with the other side of the universe with women. However, it's a term that people are familiar with in popular culture, so it's used throughout this dialogue. Would prefer to use the term proactively meeting women rather than pickup. But for the sake of familiarity, catchiness, and entertainment, we'll be using the term pickup. So please take that term with a grain of salt. Nothing wrong with proactively meeting women, as you might just be having fun, looking for a girlfriend or someone to settle down with. Please remember to be a gentleman and maintain class in the process. Now with our scheduled programming, and don't take this too seriously. Picking up women and the profession of sales have often been compared to one another. So if you're great at one, does it automatically mean you are going to be great at the other? Not necessarily. They do have some strong parallels along with notable distinctions. As there are plenty of superstar salespeople that are lonely and can't find a suitable mate. Alongside with a multitude of pickup artists who couldn't survive in the business world. Let's explore some of similarities and differences in these endeavors. Similarities of pickup and sales. Dealing with rejection, this is the biggest similarity in the world of pickup and sales. The world of sales is the land of hearing the word no a lot. As a salesperson, you are a professional yes-sayer. An optimist in what would seem like a negative world around you. Others see the glass half empty, you see it half full, with a dedicated mission to share that with the universe. So if you had any lasting career in sales, you certainly have gotten used to dealing with rejection. The best way to manage rejection is to not take it personally. For all you know, your buyer might have been yelled at by their boss before they brushed you off. Perhaps your prospect is also dealing with some personal issues at home and is not ready to buy based on being mentally distracted. The same applies in dealing with women. Perhaps she likes you, but doesn't feel comfortable around you yet because she doesn't know you well enough. Maybe she just got out of a relationship and is not ready to open herself to someone new. Heck, you might even look like her ex-boyfriend whom she is afraid of falling for your type again. End of the day, people are not rejected you, they are rejecting your idea. You probably shouldn't waste too much time racking your brains over the reasons why. As your energy is better utilized for focusing on riper opportunities. To a certain degree, it's all a numbers game both in pickup and sales. While it's true the more advance you get, the ratios on your numbers improve. But a lot of the time, it's just about being in the right place at the right time. Making sure you are putting out the respective volume to make sure you are ready for those opportunities. Creating your own reality, both pickup and sales often require a go-getter personality. Someone who is willing to take responsibility for themselves and create their own opportunities. As a salesperson, your income can often be tied with how skilled you are at your trade. So ideally, you shouldn't ever have to beg for a raise. Just go out and earn that commission you feel that is deserved, as you will simply prove your own value. Particularly if you are a salesperson who deals with cold calling, where you uncover new prospects that your company was not aware of. In pickup, you recognize that there are no free lunches. If you don't approach, you can't meet your new girlfriend or woman of your dreams. You essentially miss 50% of the shots you don't take. Despite being a world striving for equality, the practical reality is today in the dating world it's very unlikely that she will approach you and ask you out. So most time it's up to the man to take the reins, put your neck on the line and take initiative. The level of accountability in pickup and sales and realizing the buck stops at you is very similar. Applied psychology, both pickup and sales are essentially applied psychology. It's about reading people and understanding what people are communicating through their words and body language. Where you are able to understand personalities on a deeper level than most people. Being able to identify the type of person you are dealing with at quick glance and snap judgment. Particularly reading between the lines can be important at times. as sometimes a prospect won't tell you flat out why you are not in favor in a business deal. Whereas in dating you may not get official feedback on why you didn't get a second date. It's a street science and not something you learn in the classroom. Similar activities, cold approaching women in the bars and in digamy, can feel similar to cold calling. Going on a date can be a main event that is similar to having a business meeting to discussing your product and service. Although how you conduct yourself on a date versus business meeting can be very different. Your follow-up skills in sales can also be related to your phone and text game in pickup. Often the people that succeed both in pickup and sales in the long term are the one who hustle the most and keep most active. Where over the long stretch of years are always prospecting, improving, and consistently following the weekly grind of activities. Learning to manage and control your own emotional state, learning how to manage your own state can be a huge component in pickup and sales. In the sales world, some days can be really tough from constantly hearing the word no. However, your next big deal might just be around the corner. Learning to focus on the positive along with using specific NLP techniques can help to keep focused on the right thing. Same can go with pickup. You can have a crappy string of rejections through the night at the club. You might find it hard to fight the inclination to feel that reflects your worth and sadly drink yourself into oblivion at the bar. Yet the prospect of turning your night around is very real if you can manage your state. Since it might be just that next hot girl you talk to that leaves the venue at the end of the night with you wrapped around your arm. The concept of being stifled also exists in pickup and sales. As that feeling of approaching that girl who is your perfect 10 might only fill you with anxiety. You might have that same feeling of being frozen to make that cold call to that big national account you want to win. Even when you have secured the meeting, you might be shaking right before your big sales presentation. Learning how to release all tension and be free of outcome can be a great asset. Differences of pickup and sales. The customer. The biggest difference in pickup versus sales is the target you are trying to entice or persuade. The closest relationship where pickup and sales have this mirrored process is in business to consumer sales, abbreviated as B2C. However, if you've been involved in business to business sales, known as B2B, the dynamic in pickup can be hard to grasp and very different. In pickup, the customer is usually a woman. Women tend to be more emotional than men, so with that their buying process tends to be more emotional as well. Often you can't convince a woman on the basis of logic why you're the right guy for her in her life. As the saying goes in pickup, to change her mood and not her mind. How she feels about you on an emotional level is the most important thing versus how she logically thinks of you. If a salesperson has been mainly a business-to-business salesperson, this understanding of emotional buying can be very difficult to understand. While there is still an emotional component in business-to-business sales, such as the buyer liking you as a person, logic plays a strong component. You need to help the customer realize a return on investment, ROI, in any purchase. On how it make them or the organization more productive, save or make money. This logic needs to be easily communicated with a solid message that is transferable from one ear to the next. Since the logical strength of the message needs to maintain its integrity as it passes through different decision makers in the business. In business to consumer sales, this type of emotional buying process is somewhat similar, although to a much lesser degree. i.e., the salesperson will appeal to the customer's emotions, flattering them and making them feel good to entice them to buy that shirt at the retail store. Usually the customer will go on how they feel versus if it logically makes sense. This often even extends further into larger business to consumer to purchases such as buying a car. The person might not need a car, but they just want the feeling of a new car. They could also logically can do with a Honda Civic, which is cheaper and more economical than a Mercedes, but feel much better spending 4 times the amount on a Mercedes, which on a practical level is no more effective, since it still takes them from point A to B in the same given time. Since the speed most people can travel is governed by traffic and speed limits. So if you've been a business-to-business salesperson, Time to learn the art of emotional buying. If you've been in business to consumer sales, your work is still cut out for you. But a little less so since you are somewhat familiar with the process of emotional buying. Asking questions vs making statements. In sales, asking good questions is very important. It's actually one of the marks of a true consultative salesperson. Moving away from the classic stereotype of the old school sales rep, who just talks endlessly about features of a product or service, without having any idea what is relevant to the customer. Taking a spam approach to talking, throwing every at the wall and hoping something will stick to it. Whereas asking questions is the mark of a new school consultative salesperson that cares about the customer's needs, speaking only in relevance to the customer's stated challenges. Also decreasing tension in the relationship by showing you are being attentive to the customer's needs, not wanting to make any blind assumptions. So the act of constantly asking questions and being curious is appreciated and important. In dating, asking too many questions, though well-intended, can backfire, as it can turn things into a cold interview style which lacks emotion, along with being boring, revolving around questions that a woman has answered hundreds of times from interested suitors. Questions like "What do you do?" and "Where do you live?" can get tiresome and offer no value to the other party. As a result, the technique of cold reading came about in pickup. In cold reading, you make an assumption and statement of what you think the other party is about, reading off different cues based on their body language and fashion sense, such as noting their unique necklace they are wearing and stating you look like you're the artistic type. From there, continuing to talk about things that amuse you and free flow on things you are passionate about. It helps to take the pressure off the other party to feel like they are not put on the spot in interview mode, along with giving a dose of your personality to make the other person feel comfortable and demonstrating you have value by having things to share. However, while cold reading works great for building relationships with new women, it might get you ejected out of some business deals, since it can strongly resemble the old school stereotype of the salesperson. That classical archetypal salesperson image, of the person who talks for the sake of talking, without asking any questions about the other person. Being fun versus formal. In business and sales, being somewhat formal can be appreciated, as long you still remain relatable and project you are a personable person that puts their pants on one leg at a time. Moderate formality demonstrates that you are a professional and take your job seriously. So having a formal vibe about you can help to communicate you're on the ball, dependable, and have your stuff together. However, dating is more about fun than formality. People like a bit of mystery, as it's human nature to want to see more when we don't know what's going to happen next. Nobody likes the pressure of dating, so making it appear like you're not taking it too seriously can help alleviate a good portion with that. Want to scare anyone away easily on the first date? Talk about how serious you are about plans for marriage. It's a great way to send anyone running from either sex early on in dating. Plus, in dating, unpredictable stuff happens, people flake on you, you get asked uncomfortable questions, and there can be some awkward and embarrassing moments. So it's helped to have more a fun than formal vibe, as that helps to move things along more smoothly by being casual about the situation. Harder to not take it personal, even though it isn't really personal. It's more difficult to not take rejection personally in pickup versus sales. Because in sales it would seem the buyer is mainly rejecting your company's services or product. Maybe you can't deliver too quickly, it might be out of their budget, perhaps it's missing features. Whereas pickup, it's harder to disassociate the rejection with you as a person intrinsically, since you feel the product/service is actually you. So it's easier to get caught in the trap of thinking you maybe aren't tall enough or you are too skinny, when the fact of the matter, it could be a host of reasons that have nothing to do with you. Again, she is not rejecting you, she is rejecting your idea. End of the day. So it's true, pickup and sales do have similarities, but there are some noted differences and new skills that need to be learned when transitioning from one to the other. If one were entering pickup from sales, it could be thought of entering a new industry in sales, where you might have been a successful technology salesperson, but now need to learn the new products revolving around healthcare sales and beef up your knowledge of chemistry and biology. Learning to talk the language of the buyer who may not be more technical, along with strengthening some skills that might be more prevalent in this new industry, such as cold calling, webinar presentations, trade show meetings, or learning about international trade. Accounting for the appropriate learning curve in entering this new industry. So being successful in one endeavor doesn't automatically mean success in the other. However, one of the universal traits of most successful people in any area of life is drive, which would be the most common binding relationship between pickup and sales. So no matter what natural advantages you might have, drive and hunger over the long run is what makes for success. It's the result of the years of constant effort and improvement that yields results in the long term. End of the day, keep pushing and striving for your best self in your dating and business life.